Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this lighted mountain wood wall art, which is originally an Etsy inspired piece. But of course I have worked around it to figure out my own way of making this piece by mostly using the supplies that I already had. So let's get down to it and let's start creating. I started off by sketching out my plan on how my mountains will look, for which I simply drew the shape of the mountains on a wooden board. In between, I have also checked that these mountains are all aligned at 45 degrees with respect to each other so that it becomes easier for me to arrange them. The size of my drawing is 48 by 17 inches. Also, this is not going to be the surface that I will be finally using. As I said, this is just me in the planning stage. Of course, I did improvise this plan as I went ahead with this project. After I had an idea of the scale of my project, I decided to cut these wood pieces. The wider sheets are 1/4 by 6 inches and the smaller one is 1/4 by 4 inches. I have marked the end of each mountain according to my drawing, which will give me an idea of how much I need to cut these wooden sheets. Once marked, I had them cut at 45 degrees. I didn't want to waste my wood pieces, so I ended up making more mountains than I had initially drawn. Also, I have used 3 kinds of wood pieces here because I wanted to play around with the natural wood colors. So I have used red oak, pine and poplar for the 3 different layers of the mountains. So basically you have to just measure, cut and arrange these pieces till you are done with the mountains. Once I have all my wood pieces measured and cut, I glued each layers of mountains together using some wood glue. Once the glue is dried, I decided to simply oil these pieces so that I could maintain the color of the wood. Here I have used a food-grade mineral oil used for butcher blocks, something that I already had, but you can also use tung oil for this purpose. Honestly, I did try staining the wood, but I was terrible at it and I didn't want it to mess it up, so I went ahead with simply oiling the pieces. For the surface, I have used this scrap wood, which as you can see was already stained. But it was dirty and kind of worn out, so I lightly sanded this piece and stained it again. Please ignore the hole that I made in this piece for the moon, as I had messed it up initially, so I had to flip this side and redo the hole, but it all worked out in the end. Next, I used these leftover thin wood pieces from a previous wood project and had them cut around 2 inches each and then glued them together using some wood glue. I'm going to use these in between each layer of the mountains to create a gap for placing the string lights in the back of these mountains. You can also use shims in place of these wood pieces. Once the surface is dried, I arranged my mountains on the board. I marked where these tiny square things will go and glued them on the board and arranged my first layer of the mountains and left it for drying. Arrange these squares again on top of the first layer of the mountains and place the second layer of the mountains on top of it. Again, leave it for drying. To maintain the shape of the mountains, I have used some blocks of scrap wood under these layers of mountains. Once that is dried, finally arrange these squares for one last time on top of the second layer and place your third layer of the mountains. To keep everything together, I use these cans of dog food for some lightweight. Once everything is dried, I made a 2-inch hole into the board for the moon. I of course was ready to mess it again, so my husband had to help me with it. I ended up covering the hole for the moon with a piece of an A4 sheet so that the light could pass through it, and inserted some string lights at the back of these mountains. To secure everything, I have also nailed these mountains on the surface. I feel it looks pretty amazing, and especially if you use those LED strip lights, then you can get a neater look. I didn't have those lights, so just worked with what I had, but I'm still happy with the way it turned out. Try and use wood of different colors for making the mountains to make it look more elegant, or if you're good at staining, then try that. We are however planning to extend this piece a bit more and add some more elements to it, but for now this is how our wood wall art looks. Let me know what you think of this lighted mountain wood wall art. If you liked it, then smash that like button to show your love, and if you got any questions or views on how I could have done this better, then please leave them in the comment section below. And yes, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to get regular updates. Thank you so much for joining me. Please take care and stay safe.